situation here.
Well, shall we check out Metronomy and how his Venom are doing?
This is game 3 of the match, so we will see how things go. And it looks like Waterycrow is deciding to choose first or second in this matchup, so let's see what happens in game 3 of match 5 between Metronomy and Waterycrow. We see a leadoff shard from Waterycrow. Looks like he played a Feral Root Acorn and has no elves in hand. So he does not get to choose a threshold. He's got one resource, no threshold. We see Metronomy, still not used to clicking cards, apparently. Uses his Arcane Focus, and with that, chooses to take either another Arcane Focus or an Exarch of the Egg off the top of his deck.
It's an interesting situation. If you notice his hand, he's got the spider combo. He's got Tormented, Psychic Torment, and Valfang Amorite, which is great. Make a lot of eggs, have fun with that. He has the choice between Arcane Focus to get that second blood, to get that and Fenteo out, or the Exarch of the Egg, which he definitely can play next turn. But that may leave him short that blood. And we saw earlier with Metronomy, he did have an earlier situation where he played Zinthix Silk, chose one of the 2 double thresholds he needed, and didn't get it. In this case, it turns out he draws a blood, so he's okay regardless. He can get double blood, he can hit double sapphire, and the Arcane Focus is still useful.
Arcane Focus, an incredibly strong card, and one that we've seen plenty of times here.
Do you play that? Do you play that blood shard? I guess.
I think you do. There's really no reason not to, right?
Or maybe Psychic feeling out where in the circle he can drop the card and have it played.
Torment, of course, being a constant, Chaos Touch constant. Whenever you deal damage to an opposing champion with anything, honestly, whenever they're dealt damage at all, you bury a card from the top of their deck for each point of damage that was dealt.
But there is a missing piece of this combo, and the missing piece of the combo is that you actually want Spiderling Eggs in your opponent's deck for this to work.
Yeah, we see Periwinkle on Waterycrow's side of the board, which will double up any 5 or higher cost cards that are played.
And without any direct removal, there is an answer, but the question is, do you hold out for that? Or do you try to play Fenteo? Do you play Vilefang with no spiders? I think he's got to take the blood here if he's planning to play either of the double blood 3-drops. And Arachnophobia is in there too.
Any of the 3, yeah. Basically needs that double blood, but considering if he can hold on to it, maybe he wants to Arcane Focus to see if there's a blood available first.
It's his only source of Spiderling Eggs right now, too.
It is, which is rough. But if he chooses a blood here and puts down Fenteo, he's okay. He knows he's got a turn to use Fenteo because Waterycrow can't get to 5 resources this next turn. Yeah, he could. But he can't get to Crocosaur because Crocosaur needs the triple wild threshold. It looks like we will see a 5-drop. It is Titania's Majesty. The first Titania's Majesty without a socket finds a Periwinkle, which will destroy the original Periwinkle. The second will find an Aether Drake Nomad and a Periwinkle. Now, the Ether Drag Nomad isn't actually Metronomy's biggest threat in this planet. He will take 5 damage here, but he has an answer to this. Naturally, that answer does mean he might take that damage again when it comes into play, but that's not the end of the world. He almost certainly has to go through with that. He can't let his opponent get free cards here.
I think he's going to check his options first. He could actually take that second Arcane Focus and play that and then use his answer.
Yeah, he's really just kind of got to filter, find out what he can get here. I think it's not the worst spot to be in, but he is still looking at Periwinkle on the opponent's side of the board, which is not the most friendly of situations. He does find a Troop here, which is not the worst thing.
And Hatchery Cultivator does increase Venteo's eggs from 3 to 4, so 4 Tarantula eggs a turn. They could all be on top of the deck, possibly. Do you use it now or do you use it later? Probably doesn't make too much of a difference. But no shard, only lethal assist, and a single damage as Periwinkle finds a space open. Waterycrow, that might have been the limit of playing things that are 5 or above, copying that. Now at 5 resources, Venteo can make more eggs. Hatchery Cultivator is big enough to stop these 1 damage attacks. Psychic Torment can prepare for things later. There's 5 cards in hand, and one of them is a large sin. Do you take that risk? He's thinking about the Arachnophobia. Nope, he's going after the Hatchery Cultivator. There we go. He's deciding to put that into play. Psychic Torment, because why not? Got the extra resources. What 2-cost instant action is a thing. 4 Tarantula eggs in the Watercrow's deck for a total of 7. 7 out of 56.
Yeah, 7 out of 56. Interesting that he continues to use that on his turn, because he could use it as a block, but it does increase the odds during draw.
At the moment,
now,
that's kind of...
The way eggs work, the way Banes work, is they go into the deck randomly. And so they could be anywhere in the deck, but if you just look at it mathematically...
Oh, boy.
There was a 12% chance of drawing 1 Tarantula off the top of the deck. If you assume that the deck was fully shuffled after every time a Tarantula was put in, there was a 12% chance of seeing a Tarantula. That's 1 in 10. That's not miserable. To see 2, though, is brutal.
Off 1 draw, too.
Off 1 draw. Now, remember... This is actually far worse than it looks, because it means every one of the... Well, it was off...
It was pretty bad before.
Yeah. This now means that all the damage that's going to go through will also add to the burying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's considering who to put this power on. It's only 1 card. It only buries 1 card regardless of...
And it was 2 draws. Yeah. Chat is correcting us. It was 2 draws because of the Balthazar. But yeah. What? Which if you include...
Oh, because it was copied Balthazar. Got it.
Yeah.
There's a second Balthazar. He's actually going to give his charge power to the... Oh, and that's because if it does damage, right? Not just combat damage? That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
So let's...
This actually could just potentially be a ton... Well, there's not a whole lot of eggs in there. There is...
It's not a whole lot of eggs, but 2 Psychic Torments. That's 14 cards being buried.
Yeah, and there's 9.
And whenever 1 is shown, it's going to do another damage and bury another card.
Yeah. And of course, if you assume that 14 cards get buried, that's just over 90% of a chance that at least 1 is hit. And we see here several more than 1 are hit. Now... All
So
things
Zarlox not so bad compared to this.
Zarlox is not so bad compared to this. There's not an out really, because even the threat of
Even Calamity gets
Titania's
blocked.
Majesty. Yeah, Calamity only does 15 here. And naturally, we will see the concede here. So that was a good way to end the round. Well, I mean, it was a good way for us to watch the round end. I'm sure Waterycrow not feeling like that was a great way to end the round.